Welcome back to Talking 10 TV. It's Andy Coppens, and it's week 6 of the college football season. And that means we're here to get down to predicting, previewing, and prognosticating everything Big Ten. On the docket today are the Maryland Terrapins versus the Ohio State Buckeyes, coming to you from Columbus, Ohio. Kick is scheduled for 4 p.m. Eastern on FOX Fox. So let's stop wasting time and get on to the previewing, predicting, and prognostications. My one burning question: is Maryland ready to compete with the likes of Ohio State? Maryland started off the year with an impressive win in Austin against the Texas Longhorns, but then went out and lost to UCF at home, but then went out on the road against Minnesota last week and got a road victory. On the other side of the chessboard, Ohio State, well, they looked fantastic so far against everybody except Oklahoma. But that's just it. The Sooners are the one team that really had any shot of testing Ohio State, and the Buckeyes failed miserably. The secondary looked like a rebuilt one, and the passing game couldn't cash in any air miles. Last year's matchup is one that the Terps would like to forget between these two teams. The 62-3 beatdown was a cruel reminder of the chasm that exists between these two programs. Ohio State dominated from the time it got off the bus to the time it sang Carmen, Ohio in a near-empty Maryland stadium. Now, Maryland has a chance to show everyone that the gap is closed by going toe-to-toe in the Horseshoe. It's going to be a tall order, but with improvements on defense and a stellar run game, well, guess what? They might actually have a chance. Two key stats in this game. We're going to start with 173.8, and that's how many passing yards Maryland is averaging per contest. Moving the ball through the air is not where the Terrapins make their living, but the 106th ranked passing attack might need to be a wee bit better against Ohio State. Now, Max Bortenschlager never dreamed of starting a game in Columbus this year, but that's what the third stringer is looking at on Saturday. He's going to be key, because while the Terps may get some chunk plays on the ground, it's been a rough go for consistency in the run game for OSU opponents. Efforts have to come to fruition through the air on Saturday for Maryland to even have a chance. The second one in the two key stats, that's 564.8. It's the amount of yards per game the Ohio State offense is averaging. That's tops number 1 in the Big Ten and 5th in the entire country. And it's a balanced attack with an average of 238.8 on the ground and 326 through the air. And it's a wide gap for second place, with Penn State averaging 471.2. But hasn't Maryland improved on defense? Yes, it has. But it has not really shown up in the stat sheets like you would think. For all the efforts on that side of the ball, the Terps are just the 10th best D in the league based on yards per game. So while this looks like a step up in resistance for Ohio State, Maryland will still need to play its best defensive football and limit what the Ohio State offense has been able to do thus far this season if it's going to have any chance. Three key players in this game. First up, Max Bortenschlager, quarterback for Maryland. He has simply got to make plays in the passing game. If he's going to simply hand off and expect things to just magically happen, well, the Ohio State defense is going to key in on the run game and slam the door shut on any Maryland hopes. Now, of course, Bortenschlager doesn't have to be the second coming of Tom Brady, the pro version, but he's got to at least make some plays deep down the field and show that Ohio State can't just key on the run game. And to that other end, my second key player, DJ Moore. Did I mention the pass game is going to be important for Maryland? Now, if Bortenschlager is going to hit some deep plays down the field, they're more than most likely going to come in the direction of the league's leading wide receiver, DJ Moore. Now, Moore runs crisp routes and is strong and athletic enough to go up and make plays against Ohio State's physical secondary. But the problem for Ohio State is that they've also been suspect in 50-50 balls, and Moore excels at that. He's no doubt going to be targeted often in this matchup, and he's got to be a game changer if Maryland wants to do anything in this game. My third player, that's Chris Worley or Tough Borland for Ohio State. Now, Worley is still an unknown for Saturday at the middle linebacker spot, but if he can't go, it's up to Tough Borland. Maryland's bread and butter is its run game, there's no doubt about that. And to that end, the middle linebacker is going to be key for Ohio State. Whether it's Borland or Worley, he'll have to be able to diagnose plays quickly, shed blocks, and keep Ty Johnson and or Lorenzo Harrison from getting to that second level. The linebackers were not a bright spot against Oklahoma, and that's a little bit of a worry going into this game. Previewing out of the way, prognostications out of the way, it's time for predictions. And I know the thought here is that Maryland is closing the gap against the more elite teams in the big, bad Big Ten East. But DJ Durkin's crew is simply not there yet, especially with a third-string quarterback trying to orchestrate a monumental upset in the Horseshoe. Give me OSU 42, Maryland 17. Ohio State won't put up the numbers it has over the last 3 weeks. I know that. But the offense is still going to get it done, and defensively, the Buckeyes will get gashed here and there with Maryland's impressive run game. But they're going to settle in and shut down the Maryland attack in the second half, and that's going to be all she wrote for the Terps in this matchup. And that does it for our preview of Maryland at Ohio State. I'm Andy Coppens, publisher of Talking 10. Make sure you hit subscribe somewhere below here. Don't forget you can also follow our links. You can find the ways to support our independent coverage. You can buy Ohio State gear, which is linked below. On that note, everybody enjoy your weekend and keep on living the B1G life.